Good day, everyone, and welcome back to lecture 4. Last week we talked about front-end development and the tools that we'll be learning in software development and how they work. So today we are in lecture 4 of internship software development by No Big Deal online free training organized by Salah Rahim. Today we want to be looking at web development basic backend. So we'll be talking about Node.js, Express.js, Django, RESTful API, and HTTP requests, including the database that we'll be using. So after everything, we should be able to build a simple web page with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Then we can also create a REST API using Node.js, JavaScript, Node.js, Django, and basic CRUD operation. So the first thing we'll be looking at here is the introduction to backend development. Backend development, let's look at this backend development like let's use restaurants as an example. Imagine you are in a restaurant, you sit at the table and order jollof rice. The waiter take your order, then go to kitchen and then come back with your food. That is how internet works too. The front end is what you see, like the restaurant's table. The back end is the kitchen where the things happen. You don't see it, but it's very, very important. The waiter is like the API that move messages back and forth. So what tools do we use? We use Node.js, Express.js, and the Django. So Node.js is a tool that lets JavaScript works on the server. You can call it or you can relate it to kitchen. Then Express.js, it makes Node.js easier and faster, like a smart waiter. Then the Django, also a back-end tool, but uses Python. Very recognized, great for big projects. My question now is, what do you think happens when you press login on Facebook? Think about it, then you can write your comments so that we can, before I tell you my own opinion. So just write about it. Let me go ahead with my own opinion on this particular question. But if your own opinion is different, you can let me know. So when a user interacts with a website, such as by clicking a login button after entering their username and password, that information is sent from the front end. That is what the user sees. That is where you interact with the system, to the back end. That is the hidden part. The hidden part of the website that does the real work. The back end receives this data through an HTTP request. Then check it against stored information in the database to see if the username exists. And if the password is correct, then if the details match the back end, then it sent a response back to the front end saying login successful. and may also include some extra data like a token to keep the user logged in. If the user information is incorrect, the backend send a response saying something like invalid username or password. This process is what allow website to securely check and respond to user actions. So RESTful API and HTTP request. Let's look at this. Let's still keep it real. Let's go back to our restaurants. You ask for fried rice. That is a request. The waiter deliver it. That is a response. You asking for rice is a request, and the waiter deliver it is a response, right? So what is an API? What is an API? An API is a list of things you can ask the back end to do. Think of it like a menu. The options are get user, post comment, delete message, etc. When learning about RESTful API and how websites or apps work behind the scene, it is helpful to think of it like choosing from a menu as a restaurant. On a website, when you do something like view a profile, post a comment, or delete a message, you are basically selecting an option from the system menu, just like ordering food. So these actions are not random. They follow a standard way of communication between the front end, that is what the user see, between the front end, that is what the user see, and the back end, the system that is doing the work. This is where RESTful API comes in. RESTful API allows different parts of the website or app to talk to each other by sending and receiving information. Each action you want to perform, like getting data, sending in information, updating something, or deleting it, has its own option or commands. These commands are known as HTTP method. For example, we have 4 HTTP commands like it get, post, put, and patch, delete. We can call it push or patch, and we can equally have something like delete. Get is used when you want to read or fetch data, while post is used when you are sending new data, like something submitting a form or comment, while put or patch is used for updating something, and delete, that is for removing data in a clear and organized way. Classwork: create your own API for music app, get song, post new song, then delete song. HTTP method: these methods are like giving a clear instruction to server about what you want to do. The four most common one used in RESTful API are get, post, put, and delete. Let's move on to database basic. Okay, now we have placed the order. Where does the chef go to get the rice? Ask yourself, where does chef go to get the rice? Kitchen, right? So, or from the store. You can say kitchen or from the store, right? The store is like a database. A database store all your data, such as your name, your password, your pictures, your comments, and many more. We have types of database. We have two common database. So the one on the screen is SQL, and is an example of SQL. The example of SQL is MySQL and PostgreSQL, and we have MongoDB as an example of NoSQL. So in database development, databases are used to store and organize and manage data. So the two main types are SQL, which is a structured query language, structured query language databases, and NoSQL. Each has its own style of keeping data. SQL databases are structured and organized like tables in Excel, with rows and columns. Each row is a record, like one person's data, and each column is a field, like name, age, or email. This makes it easier to sort and search for information. Examples of a SQL database include, as I have mentioned before, MySQL and PostgreSQL. They are great when you need anything to stay organized and follow a clear structure. On the other hand, MongoDB is an example of NoSQL database, which store data in a more flexible way as documents. Think of each document like a short story in a notebook, where the data is written in key value. The data are always written in a key value pairs, like name, colon, John. That is, this makes MongoDB good for situations where the data may change often or doesn't need to fit into strict table format. In short, SQL databases are best when you need a clear, organized structure, while MongoDB and other NoSQL databases offer more freedom and flexibility when storing information. Quick recap. A best description is backend is like the kitchen, while RESTful API are how we order, that is how we request something. Then database are where we store ingredients. So now you see how big apps like WhatsApp and Instagram work. Behind the scene, if you want to become a developer, learning a backend is like learning to be a great chef. So our assignment is like it's like this. You need to build a simple web page with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Since we have already talked about front-end designing, then from this beautiful explanation, you are going to research on how you can create a REST API using Node.js or the Django. Anyone that suits you. Choose the Django or you choose Node.js with basic CRUD system. You have to create, you have to read, you have to update, and you have to delete. That is what CRUD means. If you want more videos like this, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you.